I want to thank you for joining me today. And what I'm going to talk about is what to do when you just want to run from all those painful feelings, because a lot of us really want to avoid our painful feelings. And no wonder, right? I mean, we have all been there. Who wants to feel all that pain, that betrayal, the hurt, the loneliness, the brokenheartedness, the grief, the fear, all of that stuff? I mean, it's just overwhelming. And I can tell you, I hate those painful feelings just as much as you do. I mean, they are so horrible. They're so confusing. They're so overwhelming. They're so scary. And what I've seen in my work is that one of the biggest hurdles that causes women to get stuck in their healing is not knowing how to process painful feelings. And I wish we were taught how to do this somewhere along, the course of our life, but we're not. And instead, especially as Christian women, we are expected to act like everything is fine and we're just doing fine, praise God. And even when we're dying inside, there's even a book out called No More Faking Fine, because this is a total pandemic in our church. And so, when we don't know what to do with the pain, what do we do to cope? Well, we eat chocolate cake, we eat brownies, we eat our feelings. We, we might drink. We might spend hours scrolling online. We might watch movies on Netflix all the time. We might go on a dating site and hope that finding a new guy is going to help our pain go away. We might, on a good day, just pray and pray, pray, God, God, please heal me. Please make this pain go away. Or we might go to like a talk therapist and talk about the feelings, but not actually feel any relief from it. Now, there's nothing wrong with eating chocolate cake, and there's nothing wrong with drinking a glass of wine, and there's nothing wrong with spending time on social media or meeting new people or watching a movie or talking to a counselor or praying. Those are all great things to do. I mean, they're fine things to do, but the problem is they don't work to help us heal. So if we're using those coping strategies as a way of trying to manage the pain and to heal the pain, it doesn't work. Because what happens is the next day we start to feel really guilty that we ate an entire pan of brownies. I know I've been there. And we're still dealing with those same awful feelings. And then on top of it, we're dealing with that guilt of not getting the laundry done because we watched 3 movies on Netflix. So, what I've seen in the women who run from their feelings is that they just end up being in the same pain 6 months later, or even worse. Still running, still eating their feelings, still shopping for relief, still hoping that a new relationship is going to make the pain go away, still feeling overwhelmed by life and by their future, and still feeling disconnected from that Jesus that they love in their hearts, and still riding that hamster wheel of pain. And so, I want you to know I am no stranger to painful feelings and to really horrible memories. I was abused by several numbers of perpetrators as a child, sexual predators. And then I survived 26 years with my ex-husband, who was a covert abuser. And I tried after that, after I left him, I tried talk therapy for many years, and it actually never helped. A lot of times I would actually leave my sessions feeling worse. Then I discovered trauma therapy, and I did 3 years of really intense EMDR. And when I found the trauma therapy, I experienced firsthand what it was actually like to have the pain resolved rather than just reliving it through talking about it and then it never really going away. And it was life changing. But what motivated me to start the painful work of facing the feelings was that I was so sick that I almost died. I was very close to death. I was in bed dying for a year. And, our body does keep the score of our abuse and of our trauma. I mean, I don't know if you saw the poll that I just put in our group yesterday because I'm being interviewed about trauma and our kind of abuse for the Christian Post. And I wanted to represent all of you. And when I checked the poll just a few minutes ago, 80% of us have chronic illness from our abuse. So I don't want you to have to get as sick as I got in order to get motivated to process your pain. And I want to tell you, you can learn the skills to move through your feelings. You can move forward in your life. You can grow in that self-confidence and peace. And you can learn how to deal with this pain so you can start facing your future and without getting completely derailed by your past. So how do you start to do this? How do you start to live as an adult who's actually in charge of her inner world and her feelings in her life? Well, first we have to start by befriending our feelings, as painful as they are, and understanding that they're like this smoke detector telling us that there is something that we need to deal with and to not avoid. You know, God gave us these feelings for a reason. He didn't just give us these feelings to torment us. He gave them as a way to help us know when there is something we need to deal with. And then as we befriend our feelings, we also get to start that process of becoming our own best friend who can actually take care of ourselves and be compassionate towards ourselves in our pain and in our suffering. I mean, yeah, these feelings hurt. They are horrible. But the feelings themselves aren't bad. They're actually meant to help us. So then what's the next thing? Well, the next thing is you need to start to understand your feelings and what they're trying to tell you, and to develop some self-awareness about where they come from and what to do with them and how to handle them. And we all have a very wide range of feelings that need to be dealt with in different ways, depending on what those feelings are. For example, grief needs to be felt. There's no way around that. But you can actually learn tools for helping to move through the grief so that it doesn't overwhelm you. And then, how about other feelings like shame and fear and self-doubt and self-blame and anger and numbness and anxiety? Okay, those are just a few, right? Well, all of these need to be dealt with differently. Like, for instance, numbness and anxiety and anger and fear, they are often trauma responses and they need very specific trauma tools. But self-doubt can come from cognitive dissonance of, is the abuser, isn't he? Am I right? Am I wrong? The self-doubt can come from old tapes from your childhood. It can come from messages from your husband, from the church, from your Christian friends. So you need to start to learn how to unravel the source of that and then learn tools to help rewire your brain so those self-doubting messages can stop and you can start to actually trust yourself again. And then anger, for example, can be righteous anger or it can be destructive anger. And you need to know how to tell the difference between those two and process destructive anger so it no longer controls you. And we can learn how to take our righteous anger and channel that into self-empowerment. And then we also need to learn self-care. And you need to learn what works for you specifically based on your trauma and how you have responded to the abuse that you've been through. But when you start to see how the trauma of your marriage has affected you and how it's causing feelings that you're having, you'll get to realize that you are not broken, that you're not in sin for having these feelings and reactions, that you're not weak, that you're not to blame for them, that they're all part of the survival mechanism that God created in you, that you've gotten stuck in because you were in long-term trauma. Then you get to learn the skills for healing and processing the feelings so that you can actually resolve them and they no longer control you and run your life. And that's part of developing self-leadership. And that's when you actually get to start feeling like an adult in charge of your life. I love feeling like an adult in charge of my life because I spent 26 years with a husband who made me feel very little and very incapable and very much like a little girl. But as we start to feel like an adult, as you start to feel like an adult, you can start feeling empowered over your inner world and feel like you have your own back and feel like you are becoming your own best friend. And then you can look forward to the future with confidence, and you can start making really good decisions, and you'll have skills to teach your kids. Remember earlier I said, I wish we had all learned this somewhere along the way in our lives? Well, you get to teach your kids how to do this the way I've taught my son how to do this. And then but you need to make a decision to actually make the commitment to work on your life and to make the decision that your future is worth fighting for, and make a decision that you're going to invest in yourself instead of putting all your energy and time and everything into other people, that you're going to become your priority. And so, I mean, it can feel very overwhelming when you start to try to sort through all this stuff when you're just starting out. But learning how to process and sort through all of this is a skill that can be learned. And it's very helpful if you have really good teachings to help you with self-awareness and tools that help process your feelings and process those trauma responses and manage those trauma responses. And it helps if you can make that commitment to yourself. And it also helps to have a mentor who can guide you through the healing journey and keep giving you hope, because the healing journey is hard. It's very, very hard. And all of this is why I created my Arise Healing Community, which is a very safe place to learn how to go through these feelings and resolve them, to actually move through the feelings so they start to get lighter and easier, instead of eating that pan of brownies or buying something or looking for a new relationship or watching another movie on Netflix. And as you start to feel more control of your inner world and your feelings, they don't have to run your life anymore. And that is what I want for you. That is just what I want for you, to be able to heal from this stuff. And I want you to be able to start feeling like you are in charge of your life instead of the circumstances of your life and the pain and the fear in your life controlling it. And I want you to get to start experiencing self-leadership so you can start feeling like a grown-up adult woman, this amazing woman that God created. And over time, I want you to start experiencing that these feelings that you just want to avoid, when you actually learn how to move through them, they stop being so scary and such a huge problem. So you have to decide to be intentional with your healing and committed to yourself. That's how you overcome the abuse. That's how you get the victory, and you stop. That's how we get to that point where the abuse stops stealing from our life. You know, because so many of us, even after we leave, the abuse is still stealing from us. It's stealing from our sense of who we are and our whole relationship with ourselves. I remember I was talking to a woman who works in an abuse program here, and she said, yeah, abuse, the gift that keeps on giving. And it's true, and we want it to stop giving us that gift of stealing from us. So if you want to learn more about Arise, you can actually go to the website arisehealingcommunity.com. And if you go to that link, you can join the wait list, and I'll send you an email when it opens. I hope that this has been encouraging for you. I just really want I want you to get your life back. You have had so much stolen from you, not only by your husband or your ex-husband, but for so many of us, by the church, by this kind of shallow Christian world that is not willing to deal with us or support us or love us or listen to us or understand us. And just remember, you really can rise up and heal from what's been done to you.